So when we talk about Jenkins, right? So now Jenkins is in the DevOps pipeline. Jenkins is playing the role of a CI tool, which means continuous integration. But anyway, it needs a little bit more introduction. Just if I say a CI tool, you may or may not get an understanding out of that. So understand in this way that what does Jenkins do? So Jenkins in the pipeline come in this way that we have our developers uploading our code on Git, and we already have seen the integration between Git and GitHub. So let's say someone is writing a code in their local Git, and then they are pushing it to GitHub. So ultimately, somehow that is reaching the GitHub thing. Or I showed you that Eclipse screen, if you remember, from Eclipse, that was like the Java code writing screen. From there, directly you can send that. But so the idea is somehow you are sending it to the GitHub. Okay. So once it reaches the GitHub, then the next step is that it goes for three things. One is building, in fact, two things actually. One is building of the code. Okay, I'll just write it down. You will understand. Hang on a second. So one is building of the code. Okay. What happens after building? I'll talk about that. I mean, why do you do building? How do we do building? And coming to that. One is building of the code, and number two is basically testing of the code, testing of the application, not the code. Okay. Acha. Let's understand these points one by one. Okay. So building of the code and testing of the code. Sorry, testing of the application. So what is happening? See this. When you talk about building of the code, we are talking about um, developer writes a code that needs to be compiled, that needs to be unit tested. Means just the particular code if it is working alone. Okay, who is that? That is called unit testing. So basically you are trying to see that okay, when this particular code is working or not, it is not like the entire application is working or not like that, just this particular code is working or not. That is called unit testing, right? So that needs to be unit tested. All right guys, if you're not talking in that case, you can just mute yourself. Getting some noise, weird noise from here and there. Okay, so that needs to be unit tested after compilation. Once the code writing, compilation has been done and testing has been done, then what happens? A packaged file is generated, which ultimately deployed on server. Okay, so this is what building means. I mean, not the writing code part, but post this first one is an evaluate, that is the code writing. These three things, right? These three things is basically your building. I wrote it in order for us to understand that, or I'll just do like this: the code written by developers, then it will be perfect. Yeah, so the code written by developer needs to be compiled, that needs to be unit tested, and a packaged file is generated, which ultimately is copied on the server to get the deployment done. Okay, so on GitHub, what do we send the written code, right? This is only is uploaded on GitHub. Developers do not themselves run the building, like they are not themselves compiling and unit testing and generating the file and just sending the file. They don't do it. They could have done it, just send the file and put the file on the server. But there are certain problems associated with it if you want to simplify the process, because it looks very simplified way. Okay, fine, the developer written the code, he ran the compilation step, he ran the unit testing step, so the step one and step two, and out of that the file got generated after that, that packaged file, and he is just sending the file to the deployment guy that hey, go and put it on your server. Now that is not done because of one very reason, that is when you are let's say compiling and unit testing the code on your environment, and you are just sending the packaged file that you have generated on your environment, there might be a case, or there is a huge chance that it be the case that when you send it to another environment and just the packaged file to run over there, it might show some difficulties in running. There might be some bugs. So what people try to do, I mean, this bugs is not from code level bugs, it is just because of the two different environments. So what they do, they make sure that they're compiling the code and unit testing on the environment where they want to run this particular thing. There itself you do this and you just send it for deployment to make sure that that particular code during compilation, what it does, it generates binary. So when it is generating the binary code, right, someone is writing in Java or C or whatever language, Python, but ultimately in order for it to run on a computer, it needs to be converted to binary. This compilation stage, it gets converted to binary. So at this particular point, what is happening now, when you're converting it to binary, it is always good that you do this binary conversion wherever you are actually trying to use it. So this binary conversion will be exactly according to that particular environment. So, so there is just no chance. Guys, mute yourself in case you're not talking. I'm getting noise. So there will be no chance that you end up, having a broken code or something, right? So this is the reason this compilation and testing are supposed to be, and that is why we're sending the code instead of sending the entire file. Okay. So this is the code building part. Okay, that is one section. Now, after this packaged file has been generated, right? On this packaged file, an intermediate deployment is done. What is an intermediate deployment? Deploy it temporarily, because you're going to remove the deployment after that. Just deploy the application temporarily to make sure you can run some test cases on that, right? Some testing. So an intermediate deployment is done. Test cases are run on it. Now, if you're thinking that okay, there was a testing over here, this is unit testing, which means just testing of the code level testing, and this is application level testing. You're testing if your application is working or not, right? So you are not getting into the code. I mean, typically when functional, this is called functional testing. When we test the functionality, we don't really worry about what is written on the code. We don't even see the code. We see if the application I'm clicking here, it should take me to a particular page. Is it taking me or not? Let's say if I talk about testing Gmail. So you know that if I click on the compose mail button, it should open up the mailbox and it should allow me to write down a mail. And I click on the send, it should go to whatever name I've written. So that is, you don't need to, you are not even worrying about that source code that is written by Google team, right? You don't want that. You just want to see if my Gmail is working. That is called a functional testing. So this is the functionality testing that is happening over here. So test cases are run. So now you can only run a functional test after deployment, because if you do not deploy, your application will not run. And for doing a testing, you need your application to run first. Okay, that is done. Test cases run on it, and then I mean, more or less this one basically. So the idea is that if both step 1 and step 2 is working, in fact, if step 1 does not work, step 2, we need to configure in such a way that it does not even enter into step 2, because if this has failed somewhere in any of these three sub steps, the intermediate deployment cannot be done, because this file will be generated only after successful building. If the building is not successful, the packaged file will not be generated. Therefore the intermediate deployment will not be possible to be done, and test cases cannot. So we need to set it up in such a way that if this particular step is failing, it should not enter into this step. But anyway, in case of successful scenario, you are supposed to see that both these steps are successful. If that is happening, then we go for actual, or let's say the final deployment, where we might like hand it over to Docker, or let's say Kubernetes, like that, like these things we can do over there, right? So these things we shall do once with this. So in Jenkins we are trying to do this part. Now the question is that how do you do it? Now here I want you to understand one thing, that Jenkins is actually an extremely dumb application. Jenkins is actually an extremely dumb application. So Jenkins alone neither can build the code nor can it test the application. Jenkins take help of some kind of a plugin to do this thing. So Jenkins is kind of a thing there you can put a lot of plugins, and each of the plugin will be having each of its functionality. So the more plugins you load, the more work you can do with Jenkins. It alone, if you remove all the plugins, it will just start and do nothing. Okay. We use a tool known as Maven for this particular task. Maven is a build tool. I'll talk about Maven also. Okay. And here we use a particular tool known as Selenium to do this particular task. Selenium is a very famously known tool for testing. Okay. So we have to configure a Maven integration plugin on Jenkins in order to make sure that the code building is being taken care of. We need to add a Selenium plugin to make sure that the testing of the application is working right. So that is how we typically do it. Now, let me show you the screen of Jenkins, but we have to understand the Maven thing first and Selenium thing first, and then only we can continue working with it. So let us first see the Jenkins screen, and let us see what all things are going on over there. Then we shall take some time to understand the Maven and the Selenium part, and then again we shall go back into Jenkins and actually implement, this particular thing over there. All right. Anybody any doubt or anything you want to ask at this particular point?
Vishal,
Mm-hmm.
in the testing the application,
Mm-hmm.
you written testing will be done, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what kind of testing will be performed there? Is only functional testing or integration testing also will be done there?
You can do anything. We'll be going with functional.
Okay,
Mm.
thanks.
For installation of Jenkins, you will not find it on the yum package. You have to open up the documentation, and in the documentation, there are 3 lines of code that you need to command that you need to copy and paste basically. This is how you have to install. So now you can see there are two options. One is installation of a weekly version. Every week there will be some kind of a modification and all those things. And there's an LTS version. LTS stands for long time support. So which is a stable version basically. So they keep on releasing weekly version. Weekly versions will come with some particular benefits. Probably it has got some particular new some invention or some new kind of a functionality they're planning to put over there, that in a very alpha state or a beta state they'll put that in their weekly version. But LTS is something that is thoroughly tested and actually certified from Jenkins authority that this particular thing is working. Oh, the service system. Okay, fine. Some maintenance issues are going on Jenkins. This is one particular thing about Jenkins. In many times they will push Jenkins on maintenance. Okay, so I guess that this particular thing is running only for the website part, because if the Jenkins application they have put on maintenance, then it will be extremely difficult to get the thing working. It will get installed, but what happens when it moves on to maintenance? I have seen that multiple times. It will get installed, it will get started also, but then you try to install the plugins, it will break over there. It will not allow you to install any plugin, because when it has to install the plugin, it has to connect the source, and if the services are broken, then it will not be able to connect the source repository. Jenkins maintains its own repository to download the plugins, so it will fail over there. That is the main problem. Okay. Okay, so let us go ahead and let us install this particular thing. Okay. So you can see we are going to add this particular Jenkins thing into our yum and ultimately use the yum install, right? Directly it is not present in the yum. So you have to first get it copied, then this particular thing, and ultimately we'll be doing it. So let us quickly run the steps over there. Take this particular thing and go to your console. Okay. What does this thing do? This is wget. Wget means download. Okay. Wget means download. So what is happening over there? You are trying to take this particular thing. Where is it? HTTP package jenkins ci.org slash red hat stable slash jenkins repo. This thing I want to download. Jenkins repository you can see. And that we're going to save in where? Slash etc slash yum.repos.d slash jenkins repo. So this is a section yum repos d where all the stuffs are present that can be installed using the yum command. So we are downloading this thing and pasting it into this place, this path. That is what we're doing. Okay. Then this is the RPM. RPM repository is giving you the key for Jenkins ci.org.key. So there is a particular keying that has to be done. Now, when you take this RPM command, it is automatically done. So this key has to be there in order to make sure that we are actually being able to use this particular thing. Otherwise, it will stuck in installation for the key issues. You need to install Jenkins. So go ahead and run sudo yum install Jenkins. I'm putting a -y. Press enter. It should get installed quickly. 60 MB. I'm running from a little bit weak internet over here. So it is taking a little time. Otherwise, it will be immediately done. Okay. Acha. After this, you have to install Java on the machine. Now don't worry about it. You don't need to write any Java code. You need Java because Jenkins is written on Java. Most of the a little bit older applications which can do a lot of complicated stuffs are typically written on Java. You'll always find it out like that. So now what will happen? See, this particular one, Java, right? So if we do not install Java, then this particular machine will not be able to run the Jenkins, installation. So typically it is always a good idea to install Java first and then do all these things. But anyway, in this particular case, I have seen that we do not face any issue if we install Java later. But typically, if it is a Java based application, make sure you install the Java first and then you go for installation of the application itself. Okay. I mean, till this point it was okay. But the last line where I'm installing, before that I should have installed Java. That is typically how it should be done. In Jenkins, there it does not run into any problem, so it is perfectly fine. Right, so you're installing Java. What happened here? Pressing enter, installing Java. Okay, that is I wrote T. That's a very big thing, 169 megabytes of download. Okay, just doing it. Achha. Another thing, that is this one. I mean, if you're following the steps, remember that you have to do this one also. Check config is not required. Check config is just to figure out whether there is any issues for running the starting the services, or you are just checking the configuration when Jenkins is on or not. That one is fine. You can leave it. But this line, sudo service Jenkins start. So if you do not write this line, it will not start the Jenkins service. It is installed, Java is there. So it is like you have a let's say software installed, but you did not double click on it on your desktop. Let's say something is installed and you are not double clicking, you are thinking why the song is not playing. You know, double click on the song in order for it to play, right? If you want to watch a movie, you need to double click on the movie name, right? If you want to open a VLC, double click on the VLC media player. Similarly, if you want to run the service, you need to start it to sudo service Jenkins start. If you don't do that, then the thing will not be running even though it is installed. So that is one thing you should not forget. Okay, Java installation is done, you can see. So in order, if you want to figure out if Java has been installed or not, you can just go ahead and write down Java version. If this particular thing is coming, see it is running version 11.0.5. If this is running, that means your Java is installed properly. So I can now run this one, sudo service Jenkins start. I should get an OK message. If I'm not getting an OK message, that means something is wrong. And you get a OK message. That means Jenkins is up and running. Okay. Anybody any doubts so far? Is it clear for everybody what it did? We just ran 3 commands that we found on the website and we copied and pasted and ran it. Okay. Clear, no?
Yep.
Okay. We will come here, we'll open up port number 8080. If you remember, I told you that Java based application run on Tomcat and Tomcat server runs on 8080. You don't need to install Tomcat server, it comes with an embedded Tomcat. Jenkins instance comes with an embedded Tomcat server. So when it runs directly on a Tomcat instance. So for that reason, you need to open up port number 8080 because it will be it will be running on port number 8080. So let's go ahead, let's open up port number 8080. So I'm taking this IP address, I'm going to hit it on port number 8080. I'll go in the um, yeah, on the incognito window and let's start watching this. See, asking us to sign in into Jenkins. Okay, so there is a password that comes over here under varlib Jenkins secret initial, and you need to copy the password from there. So go to your machine and take this thing and go to your machine. Okay, and here you'll find the initial password with which you need to log in, and then you need to change the password basically. That's how it happens. So let us go there. Sudo cat. I'm doing a sudo why because it is under the slash var. Slash var is not a repository that is owned by EC2 user. It is owned by root user. Had it been home EC2 user, you could have run it, but slash var, I cannot own that. So I need to sudo cat. And this hexadecimal number I find out. So I'll copy this hexadecimal number. I'll come here and I'll paste it. Click on enter and click on continue. And here this thing comes up. Now if the service is actually broken, as soon as I click on install suggested plugin, it should show me an error and it should exit. That is the typical error you will find. If you're finding that, that is not your fault. That is because Jenkins repository has going some maintenance issues or something like that. So let's just hope for the best and let's assume that this particular thing doesn't break, because if it does, there is no way I will be able to open up Jenkins. Okay, let's try to do this. Click only once. Okay, nice. So if this screen is coming, then it is perfectly fine. So sometimes this screen will not come. I mean, that's a thing that I have seen million times. It comes up. It will show you some error occurred, and then it will give you error description, red colored, instead of installing the plugins. If these plugins are getting installed, then you are more or less good to go. The repository is working at least. We started with the suggested plugin installation. In the right hand side, we had another option over there that was asking us to install the plugin that we want. Now, we are not really going to install the plugin we want because, at least for the beginning for you, let's say, because you will not be understanding that which all plugins you actually want. So better go with what Jenkins suggests, and then, you know, you can add your own plugins, or if you want to delete some plugin, you can go and delete some plugin. Nice. So now you can see it is asking us to create our first administrator user. So let us go ahead and let us create our first admin user, right? So I'm going to call the user admin itself. Okay. I'm going to put the password as admin itself. I'm going to confirm the password as admin itself. Full name I'm writing admin. Email address I'm writing admin at admin.admin. I mean, basically I'm following the structure. That's it, nothing else. I'm just calling it admin, right? 7 continue. So we have created an admin. So this is showing the current URL. Don't worry much about it. Let it be whatever it is. This data is not used anywhere. This is just to show the user in case the user forgets which one is the one, right? So whatever we shall be doing, we do not need this data. So that's okay. It can show anything. And we can click on start using Jenkins. And there is your Jenkins welcome screen, right? This is the home screen of Jenkins. Okay. So let us see what all things we are seeing over here. The first thing we are seeing is create new jobs. Okay. So this is where we shall ultimately come up. We shall create a build job, Selenium testing job, all the different jobs that we saw, right? So we wrote the things. So these are our jobs, a building job, testing job, like this. We can create as many number of jobs as we need, right? And we can also chain them, like this job. If it passes, then go to that job. Otherwise, go to some other job like that. We can do it, right? So we can chain multiple jobs together. So we kind of click on create new jobs. It opens up a screen. It asks us to write down the which job it is. So you can call it a build job, right? Say, okay. You can select what kind of a job you want. You want a freestyle project or something like that, and you need to click on OK. So let's just see a very not a real job, but kind of a dummy job. So I'll just execute some shell commands. That's it. Okay. So let's say dummy job. I'm going to call it. Okay. Typically, we try to ignore the space. Even though you give it, there is no issue. But typically, we try to replace it with a underscore. That's a good practice whenever you are working somewhere. So ignore spaces as much as you can in any place. Okay. So I'm creating something known as a dummy job. There's many things coming up. When we install the Maven integration plugin, you'll find a Maven job coming up over here. So we'll be working with that one. But anyway, that's fine. Let's take a freestyle project and let's click on OK. Okay, and see what happens. This particular window comes up with us. Okay, we got a lot of sections. The first one is the general section, source code management section, build trigger. You can see one below the other. They are over there. Build post build actions. Let me tell you what is happening. In the general, typically write down description about what you're trying to do, right? So this is just dummy job which actually does nothing, however runs some script. Simple. So I just wrote something over there. So this is the like the metadata thing. You can kind of, you're giving a description about it. Hey, this is, you can say it's a GitHub project, right? So you can write the project URL. A lot of things you can do. But anyway, this does not participate in doing the stuff basically. So the stuff will be, you will practically start working from the SCM part. So when we try to integrate with GitHub, we have to give the GitHub repository URL over here. We shall see how we can do that, but not right now. Okay, we will come over here. We will talk about the build triggers. Okay, in the build triggers, what we can do, that okay, you have written that this is your repository. When do you want to do the building from the repository? Okay, how do you want to do it? Periodically you want to do it, like every 5 minutes you want to do it, something like that, or how exactly do you want to do the build? That comes into picture, right? So that is build trigger. Building means, once again I told you, compilation, unit testing, packaging, all these things, right? When do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? That is coming into picture. Build environment, right? So see the options. Delete the workspace before the build starts. So you can do that. Like last time you did a build, all the artifacts are present with you. You kind of say, no, I don't want those artifacts. First clean it completely and then again start, right? So abort if the build, if it's stuck, this is a very good option. So you are kind of saying that, okay, for 3 minutes or 2 minutes of time, if the build is stuck, it is not happening. There is no point in staying over there for the throughout the time. So you can just give a, okay, this point of time the build is not happening up, come out of it. Okay, this kind of things you can do. Add timestamps to the console output, so at which point of time what is happening, that you can, say like at 5:02 this thing happened, at 5:03 something happened, 5:04 something happened. It will keep track of the events in the building that is happening. Let's say the compilation started, then the testing started, all these things, the timestamps you will find out. That is one thing you can do. Acha, the main section is the build section where you actually do the building job. So this is like you are telling that where you want to pull the code from in the SCM part. In the build triggers part, you talked about like how do you want to, trigger the build. Periodically, you want to do the build on the code or what you want to do. That things come into picture. Then comes this part is very important, the build trigger part. When you go for continuous integration, actual implementation, we'll see that. Build environment is like, okay, fine. So in the environment, what you want the older files to be deleted, this and that. That comes into picture over here. Then comes the main section, that is the build section. Okay. So we, as of now, this is the part where the actual, the packaging and all those things will happen. But anyway, for us, as of now, we'll just run a shell script, let's say. Okay, we just want to run some shell script. So you can run some shell command. I'll go for like real easy, like echo, let's say text stories. Okay, as simple as that. So it'll just say text stories. That's it. But the idea is that this thing should work. That is the idea. Okay, all right. Now, and then there is something called post build actions. So when you're running a build, you might want to do something after the build has been done. So this is what comes into picture when after the, let's say, the building job, and the building job is finished, I want to go to the testing job, that I can chain from here, right? I can chain those things. See, you can send email notification to people that, oh, this job is done, send an email, right? We'll see the email also. That also will come into picture. Probably we shall do it tomorrow, maybe. The email and the chaining and all those things. Okay, so that also will come into picture. As of now, we're keeping it very simple. We're just writing that echo text stories. That's it. Save. So echo just shows the name, right? You have seen this, right? So this shell script basically means whatever can run over here. I mean, oh, this connection got closed. Hang on a second. The SSH got closed. Anyway, fine. The installation has been done. Acha, listen. So echo is like this. If I say, let's say echo text stories, right? It will just say text stories. That's it. This is what happens in echo. You will just able to see the thing. Okay. Let us go ahead and let us try to. I think my machine is not killed, right? Or has someone killed it? Oh, no, it is running. Okay. So now, all right. So we are over here. Where is the Jenkins screen? Here. So we've written it. So whatever thing we'll be doing, we have to click on the button called build now. If we hit on build now, it will actually run the job. Okay. Listen, understand one thing. When I said building of code, then I basically meant these things to be done. Okay. And here when Jenkins is saying build now, Jenkins is not talking about building of the code. For the test application also, if we write a job, it will say as build now only. So in Jenkins, when they say build now, that terminology simply means it is asking you to run the job. Okay. When Jenkins says build now, they mean run the job. They're nowhere meaning that, do a packaging of a file or do a testing of a file, nothing like that. For any kind of job you write, that is the terminology they use. So when Jenkins says build now, understand they are meaning run the job, nothing else. Okay. And when you say building of code, that is a different thing. That is like, unit testing and, compilation and war file generation and all those things, right? So if we hit on build now, you will see that in the build history, a new build will come up. Okay, it may or may not, because it is a very small build. Probably it will just come and go. You will not be able to see that. Okay, it might happen. It will be very fast. Let me hit once again. So it says build scheduled. Okay, we are not seeing it because it is finishing extremely fast. Okay, so the question is that how can we see all the builds and all those things that is happening? Well, you can come back to your dashboard, or let's say, okay, fine. You don't need to actually. You can stay over there. You can see last build duration was 31 milliseconds. So it is doing the build. See, it has done two builds. The last build was 16 seconds ago. It is just, if I hit it once again, from here also you can hit it. This is the build now button basically. What was seen inside. You will see again it will become #3. So it is becoming so fast that you are not able to see that. See, let me hit it. Okay, I've done it. So if I refresh the screen, see it is #3, 5.7 seconds ago. It took 23 milliseconds. That is why you are not seeing it. But typically, if it is a long time taking process, you will see that in the queue it is opening up, right? Anyway, let us go ahead and let us try to open up the build and let us see what happened over there. So clicking on this #3. So it is the build 3 that happened at January 16, 2020, 3:16:57. So right now the time is 3:17:21 on the Jenkins server. Okay, it is the UTC time that they are taking, right? So 5 or 30 minutes behind us, 3:16:57. So if you want to see the output, you have to click on console output, and you will be able to see it ran this code called echo text stories, and the output is here, text stories, and there is a success it is writing. Okay, it is writing success. You can see it created a shell file, right? .sh. .sh is the equivalent of .exe on Windows. We have exe files on Windows, right? In Linux it is .sh. So it created a shell file because it is a shell script. It is a Linux command. So Linux command, when you take multiple Linux commands together, you call it a shell script. If you take a multiple command prompt commands together, you call it a batch script, which is used in Windows. In Windows, what you write in CMD command prompt, if you take them together and you put them together in a file and you just run it, that will be called a batch script, and this is called a shell script. So batch script is .bat batch, and your shell is .sh. Okay, so that is how it is. So Windows and Linux, so we call this thing a shell script, which is nothing but your typical Linux command. Your shell script can be like, you can make a calculator using shell script, like x equal to 5 and y equal to 10 and z equal to x plus y, so x plus y is 15. This kind of calculation also you can make using shell script. Very little things, right? We can do that now. So if I come back to the project now, okay, I'll show you something. If I come back to the project, you can see the build history is appearing over here, right? What you can do is, so it'll show you all the like last build happened when, what was the stable build, successful build, completed build. Why so many information are there? Because this is the last build. Let us say the last build did not actually become stable. Something went wrong over there, so it will not be a stable build. It will not be successful also, right? Completed build means the entire build has run. Now in this build there is nothing much, but let's say there is some dependency build. So this build is running and that depends on some other files or something, which file is missing, something like that happened. So the build will not be able to complete. So it will not be complete. That is why they are writing these four metrics over here. What is the last build? What is the stable build? What is the successful build? What is the completed build? For us, all these four are the same build itself. Okay. So that is one thing. If you come to workspace, as of now there is no file in the directory, but what happens, you can click on wipe out current workspace. So if there is some file, that will be deleted. What happens over here, when you try to play with actually pulling a file from GitHub or somewhere, all the files, when, so how Jenkins works here, Jenkins will be integrated with GitHub. It will issue a pull command. It will issue a pull command. So it will pull all the codes from, we saw yesterday, right? That how day before yesterday, that how exactly we can pull from GitHub and put it in a local repository. So it will create a local repository inside this workspace, and it will pull the files over there. That's what it will do when you do a GitHub integration, right? GitHub integration we shall see tomorrow. We'll understand this point. Clear? So this workspace is the place where all the files will be stored. Fine. Acha. Come back to, acha, you can check status from here. So all this, the status is this one only, this screen only, where you are seeing all these things, right? You can again trigger a build. Now if you want, this configure button will be opening up the project settings once. See the project settings, if you want to do some changes over there, you can. So the configure is the one that opens up the project settings. Okay. Okay, you can come out. Right, so these things are actually, let's say I want to change the project settings a little bit. Let me show you by changing it a little bit. So let's say instead of writing just echo text stories, I want to do some more things also as well over here. So kind of I want to do like dollar $x, that is a variable, equal to, let's say, I'll not give a space, equals to 5. Okay, let's say dollar $y equals to 10. So this is how you write variables on this one shell. And you're writing like um, dollar $z equals to dollar $x plus dollar $y. So I'm just adding them. Ultimately, you echo dollar $z. Okay, I'm doing this. So typically, if you have multiple lines, you typically put semicolon. Now, if I do this, it will take x equal to 5 equal to 10, it will add them. So just do a build now. I've done a build, refresh the screen. Oh, it has now this. Oh, this failed. This is good. This is actually good. So I can show you the failure. Now come over here. Go to the console output. Okay. So what happened basically? You can see it is writing equal to 5. Okay. So this thing didn't work out, right? Dollar $x equal to 5 that I did, that didn't work out because I forgot to put it in a colon. Sorry, I mean x. What do you call it? This one. Um, Inverted comma or quotation, right? So it did not take it. I should have put it, but now you got an error. Now this is a wonderful thing. Come out to the, back to project, or in fact go to status. Now see this thing. Last build was 4, but stable build was 3, right? Successful build was 3. Failed build was 4, unsuccessful over 4, but 4 was completed, so it is showing completed. Remember, if a build is not successful, does not mean it is not complete. Probably it completed till the end, and it just did not work out the way it was supposed to. That is one thing. Another thing, another funny thing that you'll find out, if I come out over here, you will see that it is showing a cloudy weather. Okay, so this one changes the, the photograph that is over there. Typically, if every build is running, it will show a complete sunny, I mean, this w means weather basically. Okay, weather report. So this will be, this is little funny thing. I kind of find it very funny. So it will show you a complete sun. That means it is working, right? So everything is fine, everything is perfectly fine. So once it starts failing, you will find out. So you can see last success, last failure. Once it starts failing, what will happen? You will see more and more cloud is coming. After that, it will become like rainy. It will show you some rains, and at the end, it will become thunderstorm. Just look at it. I'm running some more builds. Okay, again I ran one, which will fail. Refresh. Look at the weather report. It became complete cloud, right? I'll run it once again. Okay, I'm refreshing. Look at the weather report. It has become a rain, right? I am running once again. Look at the weather report. It has become thunderstorm. So this is how they will be changing their particular thing. And if I run it again, let's say a couple of times, 3 times I've clicked over there. So no, it remains thunderstorm. It will not fail. The percentage, see, 0% of success it is telling, because out of 10 builds, only 2 passed, 3 passed. So it is kind of showing around 0, right? Even though it is not 0, it is around 50%. But these guys are telling it is near about 0, whatever. So you can see the status is coming. Now if I wanted to pass once again, I have to again go into the job. I have to correct whatever went wrong. So let us go right over there. I think I do not need the dollar over here, or I need to put a, yeah, uh, that double quote, single quote, something is missing. Let me just go ahead and let me write to the build now, right now. Okay, let us see if it is, it passed. The dollar was extra over there. So now you can see this is a successful build. Okay, so if you come back over here, it says x equal to 5 and y equal to 10, z equal to 5 plus 10, so equal 5. Oh, it thought they are text, they did not consider them as numbers. Okay, fine, at least you saw. So it just wrote like
Hi
this, 5 plus
Vishal,
10. Ah,
actually you forget to remove the dollars in the last edition line.
okay, where?
If you go to configuration, I will tell you.
Okay, I forgot to remove dollars. Anyway, fine, but you got the point, right? So I mean, let's not waste time into that. You got the point. So this thing is still not showing. So the more it starts getting, let's say, built, you will understand that it is slowly coming back. So I've done 3 builds. So let us refresh. So you can see it is coming back in the proper weather report. So this is what it is, right? So Sunil, I'll see it later. I mean, let's not
Okay, okay,
get into that.
okay.
Okay. So we are understanding what is happening. So you can see build number 14 was the last success and 10 was the last failure build. It took 13 milliseconds right now. So now, so this is how this thing go on. So the more and more jobs you add. So now you can see there is no create new job button. How do you do it? You do it by clicking on new item. So the new item is nothing but that create new job. If you click over there, again, this guy will come up. Okay. So that is the basic of how you create a job on Jenkins and all those things. All right. Now there are a lot many things in Jenkins only apart from only creating jobs, but all these things are ultimately there in order to make sure that you can create your jobs in more efficient way. Let's say, as I told you, I want to create a Maven job. Now I need a Maven integration plugin for that. So I don't have it. So you have a plugin repository over here where you can go, you can manage all your plugins, right? I'll show you that. I'll come to that point, but before that, so there is a build history section that shows you all the builds over time, right? So there will be chart kind of a thing will come up. Yeah, this one. So you can see in January 16, if January 15 you've done something 17 at what point of time, right? So if you actually notice, see, if I pull it down, we are moving across in time, right? If you remember the graph that I had drawn for showing you the branches in GitHub, right? In the right hand side, the time was going on, and in top there are many branches. So think that there are many jobs instead of branches over here, and the time is going on. So see, no two builds is on the same time. They're at least a little bit apart of each other. Okay, it is moving towards right, at least a little bit apart. Maybe very quickly I clicked on that, so they look very close, but they cannot be 100% at the same point of time. So it is telling that in the January 16, the entire time of January 16, entire day, only this much portion we have, done a build on. So this is a nice thing to look at. Okay. And here, if you come below, you'll find out all the builds where we have this particular thing. So it says broken. And if you click on this green button, you'll find out the console output for this particular job. The console output we are checking. So this is the console output button over there for every job that is there. So this is your build history. What is people? People is that you can add many users in Jenkins. Let's say I want to, in my organization there are 10 different people who are using Jenkins. Now, not everybody wants to be the administrator. Or you don't want everybody to make that. You can add new users. Okay, it is somewhat like IAM in AWS. So the people who know AWS will figure it out. Like IAM, you can create people and that those kind of stuffs. Not exactly important from the perspective what we are trying to do in DevOps, but in Jenkins we can do it. Okay. Okay. The best. Acha, I'll come to manage Jenkins. This is the biggest thing. But anyway, before that, there is one called My Views. Now, what is My Views? My Views is basically when let's say you have okay, let's say there are multiple people, right? So you are just a user of Jenkins, let's say. You are not exactly an administrator, you are a user. So you got a default view. View means what? View means this thing, like when you're in the home page, what all things you see. Now by default, you'll be seeing only the job section. You might wish to put the build graph over here, right? So you can create a view. View means different elements you're putting and you're organizing them in such a way that I want my dashboard to look like this. That kind of a thing, basically. That is called my view. So everybody who is let's say added as a people in this particular thing, they can edit their own views. So when that person logs in, they will be seeing the dashboard in the particular style that they want. Okay, all about the the aesthetic part. This is not exactly the functional part. Acha. This you can create a new view from here basically. That will get added to your my views. Credential manager once again. So here we can put our keys, right? We'll see these things. So when we'll do the GitHub integration, we have to put our keys in our credential manager. We can create an SSH key and we can keep the key over there. Okay, fine. So there is the key. This is a public key. Oh, I'm feeling a little sleepy, I can see. So there is a public key, there is a private key. You are keeping the keys over there. So to store the keys, you need to use the this part, credential part. Okay, and lockable resources nobody uses nowadays. So there is something known as ilock. Anybody heard about the term ilock? ILOK. This is what ilock is. Okay. Okay, I mean nothing opens up. Okay, let me go to the images or something. Ah, this is ilock. This looks like a pen drive. Okay, so you have to plug it in your this one. Uh, what do you call it? In your USB drive of your computer. Once you do so, this acts like a authentication device. So if you put that in, then it will register you, or it will find you out as a actual user, authenticated user. So this is the lockable resources. So if you have an iLock key, an USB kind of a key that you can put in to authenticate yourself, that's what you have to register in lockable resources. Nobody uses this nowadays. This kind of devices were used like many years ago. I probably, let's say, maybe in 2014, 15, these things have got obsolete. Nobody uses pen drive based authentication anymore because most of things are moving on to web. When you talk about pen drive based authentication, then you need a complete computer with yourself and all those things, right? That USB has to be registered. A lot of things are there. I have seen this kind of devices. We were in a project of government of Karnataka. In that particular project, no, it was there near to Majestic, right? Near to Majestic, there is a Pothys Mall. Anybody heard about that mall, Pothys Mall? There is a Pothys
Yes.
Mall near to Majestic. Just opposite to that, there is a commercial tax department of government of Karnataka. In that building, our client was that. So lot
Maharaja
of,
building.
huh?
Maharaja building.
What building?
Maharaja building, the
That
port
is
is opposite.
that is called Maharaja building. I don't know the name. That is the we used to call it CTD, commercial tax department. So basically, yeah, exactly the opposite of. I mean, if you take that lane, the second building is the CTD building. Okay, so you'll see that the government officials are going. That red light ambassadors will be coming and going. So so in that the seventh floor, there is the department of Khajane. Khajane is the you can even check out Khajane. So this was the project. Khajane is the government of Karnataka's this thing, right? GOK, government of Karnataka. So this
Vishal,
thing, tell me.
this is I5 is used in our digital signature of PAN card.
Digital signature of?
PAN card.
Huh. That is
We
also,
can
that
have
was
it.
the
We need not to sign in the on
digital,
in on.
exactly.
It is a
Exactly.
digital signature. In that, if we keep our pen drive and we click in it,
Hmm.
automatically it takes the signature.
Correct.
Yes.
So exactly. So this signature, why does it take? It takes for the authorization, authentication purpose. Okay. So what happens? Let's say, what we used to do in that project. So that application that runs over there, that was maintained by TCS basically. So TCS was working on that. I was not developing application, but I was working over there. So there they used to use the that kind of pen drive kind of thing. So when, let's say, a particular DDO or somebody will come of a government official, they want to kind of open up their session on the computer that is kept in the CTD. So let's say that guy is based in Dharwad. That guy stays in Dharwad. That guy is coming to CTD for a certain problem, but he wants to open up his session over there, right? He will put his credentials, and again additionally he will put the pen drive. If he just puts the credential and presses enter, nothing will happen. As he puts the pen drive, his session will open up over there. So that is the kind of thing that we used to do with iLock, right? So that also has a dual role of digital signature, as Mallika was telling. So we also can perform the digital signature with that, because when your session is open, it will automatically open up the digital signature for you. So when you're, let's say, generating an order or something, the government officials do it. So I'm just talking from the perspective of the project that we used to do, so that you can understand the usability. So when he's generating the order and all those things, it will automatically come with that guy's name, right? So there will be a hexadecimal code. See, digital signature does not mean the photograph of the signature. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
now we can hear. Yeah.
Okay. Hang on a second. Yeah. So just telling, so digital signature does not mean that it is just a, copy of a photo of the signature, right? I mean, some people mistakenly refer to that as a digital signature, that you have taken a photo of the signature. That is, no, that is not like that. There is an hexadecimal code that comes up, right? So there is a lot of things, but basically just understand this is your authentication purpose, right? Lockable resource, pen drive kind of a thing. So let's focus on the manage Jenkins part, because it is a very big section. Okay, so let's come over here. So you can see there are a lot of options that is being displayed over here in the manage Jenkins section. The first one is talking about the configure system. Now what happens over here? So the configure system means this entire Jenkins installation that you have done. If you want to do a global configuration on that particular thing, right? Global configuration means what? That can be anything actually. That can be, let's say, for example, what all kind of like, let's say you have installed a plugin for. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you have installed a plugin for copying data, okay, from one server to another server. We know the SCP command, right? Secure copy, through which we copy data from one server to another server. So let's say through Jenkins you want to do that. Now you are not going to write down SCP over there, so you have to install a plugin for that. For every single thing, there are every task you can do with Jenkins, but you just need to install the plugin. Let's say you have installed the copy plugin. Now when I've installed the copy plugin, you need to give the destination, right? That when Jenkins is actually trying to do the copy, where does it copy? What is the destination server? So that settings might go over here. So this is like a global settings for Jenkins. Okay, so just look at the things that you're finding over here. One is your home directory. So where is Jenkins storing all the data? Now if you remember, when we took the initial admin password, we took it from varlib Jenkins initial admin password. Varlib Jenkins is the home. So Jenkins home is varlib Jenkins. Okay, within that, so if let's say it is installing you're asking it to do a, let's say, build. Okay, and as I told you, in a build what happens, it generates a package at the end. If the unit testing and all those things are successful, it will generate a package. So that package, where will it store? It will store in some folder which is within varlib Jenkins, because Jenkins has no permission to work outside this particular folder. It has to work within that only. Okay. Acha. So if you the important things, if I show you, as of now, we are not going to change anything over there. See, GitHub server, you can add a GitHub server from here, like lockable resource manager, that also comes over here. So you can do a lot of things, Docker level. But anyway, right now we're not going to use it like that. Email notification when you want to send, right? So we have to set up our email service over there, and see, we need to mention our email notification. What is the SMTP server default user email? Also we shall see, we'll come to that, but we'll do these things when we do the build part basically, right? So but before, anyway, so we will see these things later. Just understand that this is the section from where you are kind of configuring the entire Jenkins system. If you mess up something over there, or if Jenkins is, let's say, not running, right? Maybe your multiple people team and someone comes and complains it is not running. This is the section you have to look into to debug that. Okay, so probably something is not right. So you can see, like, say test configuration by sending email, test email. So you can write down SMTP server and all those things over here, and you can just click on send to figure out whether that email is going or not. Okay, so this kind of things you can do. So they're real cool things that you can do over here. If I So this is your the first thing. Okay, configuration of global security, global settings. The second one that you will find out in Manage Jenkins is your global security. Once again, there is nothing much to do in global security. If your organization is running LDAP or something, you can configure it over there. In case it is not, or there is no security related stuff that is happening over there, it is better to not touch this one. You should never disable the security. Okay, you can, if you do a disable security, uh, if there is some authorization issues or authentication issues, Jenkins will just overlook that. Okay, there is one particular case where sometimes I go for disabling the security. I'll tell you when that I had done. In fact, only once in my lifetime I did it. So Jenkins was not only once, I mean to say only for one case I did it. That happened many times. So that is, sometimes Jenkins will show you a very weird behavior. That also in test, not in prod. In prod, nobody disables security. In test, I did it in our stagings. So once we faced a issue that was like, so whenever we are trying to save something, we're getting a 403. Now, what is 403? 403 is all about your authentication parameter. So when you're running Jenkins and you're finding out there is a 403, so you know that there is an authentication issue, right? Authentication issue might not always be from your fault. If it is your fault, you can rectify it. You can just log in with the correct user. But sometimes it will be that Jenkins settings get a little weird time to times. So that is a little bug in Jenkins. Jenkins is not a very what should I say, like 100% correct software. Sometimes it shows a little bit of bugs here and there, and that can be easily fixed by restarting, or let's say log out login in Jenkins and this kind of things. But anyway, I was probably training somebody when I found the bug or something. I mean, I was not feeling like logging out. So what I did, I just came over here, I turned off the security, and immediately the issue was gone. So which proves also, I mean, I cannot show you that by actually bringing in the issue, because the issue automatically comes at some point of times. If in your case here also you find that this particular 403 you are getting, then I'll be able to show you that by disabling this, that problem will be resolved. But just know it, if you're finding 403, you people are more or less familiar with the status codes, right? 404 means some resource not found. 403 means authentication error. 403, in case the people who have done AWS, you have seen when if we host a website on S3 and we do not make a file public, sometimes try it out. Or don't even host a website, just put a file in S3, do not make it public, try to open it. You will find out 403, access forbidden error, okay? Authentication based error. So those kind of things come up, then you may. Acha, if you come below, you will see there is the LDAP settings over there, right? Unix user group or database, that also you can use. Unix user group database basically means the users and groups that you create on a Linux machine. So on whichever machine this Jenkins is running, that particular machine's users it is talking about, right? So those kind of stuffs you can go ahead and do over here. It is always a better idea not to get inside the security or mess up with anything, because if you do so, there will be probably no other option rather than completely installing a new Jenkins install and doing the things all over again, right? Acha. A very important part is this configure credential, the same thing that you see from here. There is a link over here also. Acha, I'll just show you how it looks like, by the way. So if you open up over here, you can add a new key, right? So there is a section, providers, all available. Hang on a second. All available, restrict, add. No, not from here, I think. Not from here. This is the configuration provider. Sorry, credential provider. Credential addition has to be done from here. So you can see over there. So you can actually click on this, and you can see global credential unrestricted is telling. So click on this. Once you do so, you can add credential. We'll do this thing when we are trying to integrate with GitHub, right? We'll come to this point. All right. So you can add a credential. You can write down the private key, public key, see username with password. There are multiple ways of adding credentials: username, password, username key, only key, private key, public key. A lot of things are there, right? So you can find them out in the drop down also, right? See SSH username with private key. These kind of things you can do. Anyway, so after configure credentials, there is global tool configuration. This is also not important right now. Let's come to manage plugins. That is more important, right? I'll show you global tool configuration, but let us see the manage plugin first. So this is, if you have any update, this available are the plugins that have got already installed. That you will find under the available section, right? You can see a lot of plugins have been already installed, so they are being displayed over here, right? If you want to install a new plugin, installed are the ones that is installed. Available means available for installation. Let's say I want to install the Maven integration plugin, right? So you can see that is there, Maven integration plugin. This is available for installation. And these guys and the installed ones you will find out in the installed section. Here. Here you will find out all the ones that are already installed. If you want to uninstall something, you can go and you can hit uninstall. Okay. So Ant plugin or something. I mean, let's say we want to uninstall Ant. So clicking over there, uninstall. Yes. So the Ant plugin will be gone. Right. So it is gone from there, right? Uninstallation pending, it is telling. So it will probably require a restart to do the uninstall. Uninstall is not done without restart. Okay. So when you try to do an uninstall, it will be requiring a restart. But if you do an installation, you will find out an option to install without restart or with restart. Okay. So installation can be done without restart also or with restart also. Oh, what happened to this page? Okay. So here you can do with, let's say I want to take this one MS build. Okay. You can see with restart also, sorry, without restart also and after restart also. But in case of uninstall, it is always after restart. You have to restart the Jenkins in order to make sure that this particular thing is actually uninstalled, right? So when you hit the restart, actually it will uninstall first and then go for restart. That is how it works. All right. So this is a section where you can find out all the plugins. In the tool configuration, let me anyway show you this. So you can see that you can actually install, you can put the Git server installation details over here. You can install Maven over here. You can install JDK, Java over here, right? So these installations can be done from here. Let's say I want to install Maven. So I'll write add Maven. Or let's say this one. This is like installation of where on your machine where Jenkins is installed. Means on our EC2 instance. If I write it over there, it will go and it will install Maven in the EC2 instance, right? So let's say, for example, if you have already installed a Git client over here, I mean, understand this point. When I'm saying that my Jenkins requires to go and pull the data from Git, that means it requires the Git client, right? At least if it wants to pull it. So the Git client is known as Git core, Git hyphen core. If you install Git core instead of, you can install the entire Git also on this machine, but you do not need the entire Git. You are not really looking for doing a version control on a Jenkins machine, but you can install the Git core. What will happen for that? When you install Git core, it will be able to run the minimal functionalities of Git, like pull only. So it requires to do a Git pull, right? Because otherwise, how will it get the code from GitHub? The only way to get a code from GitHub is git clone, git pull, git fetch something. So ultimately, you have to run a pull action, right? I told you that pull is the most preferred option. So it has to write a pull option. So when it runs the pull option from Git or pull action from Git, if you want to do it, it requires to have the Git installation. So I'll show you in both the ways. So when tomorrow we do the Git integration, so what we shall do, we shall be, let's say we'll be requiring Maven also, right? So Maven I will install from here, from this GUI screen, right? From here I will install Maven, right? But the Git I will not install from here. I will install it on the server myself and just give the just leave it like this. So we will see that actually it will be able to take it. See, it is searching where /sbin /user sbin /bin /user bin. So these are the 4 folders, out of which at least in one of them, whenever you do some installation, right, yum install something, that will go and that will sit within any of these. The reference is kept over there. So therefore, when you install Git locally also on the server, it will still be able to pull that, because it is monitoring these 4 paths. And typically when you install this one, it will go and sit under user bin. So you will find out it is actually picking it up from there. But we shall do the opposite thing from Maven. We'll do it install from here. Okay, that is what we shall do tomorrow. So you will understand that both the ways it is possible to work with it. Okay. Apart from that, the other things are not other things we can leave as of now. Manage plugin, system log, yeah, Jenkins console, yeah. We can leave the other things as of now, right? Fine. So this is more or less an overview of Jenkins. But if we want to actually use Jenkins for the DevOps perspective, that is a CI, we need to first learn Maven and Selenium. Okay. Now, see, I don't want you to actually go and write test cases by using Selenium. You just don't need to know at least the bare minimum of what Selenium is, how we can use Selenium, what is the purpose of it, right? This kind of stuff. A bare minimum knowledge is required, because if you have no knowledge on Selenium, then it becomes little difficult. But that does not mean that you need to now learn Java and write code in Selenium. No,
You don't need to do so. That will be done by whom? Your testers, right? So let's say a developer is developing the code, a tester is writing the test case. So you upload both, you upload both of them on Jenkins and create two jobs and connect the jobs like this, that if the build job is done, then the test job has to run. So now both the jobs are running and ultimately you get your output. That is the idea of configuring with Selenium. So that is why you need to have the idea on Maven also. You need to have the idea on Selenium also. So anybody any doubt so far? I'm going to talk about Maven a little bit right now. Anybody any doubt so far? Or are we all okay?
Okay.
Yes, guys, can I get a response, please?
Yeah, Vishal.
Yeah, Vishal, it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, fine, great. So we're going to talk about Maven a little bit. So let's understand what is Maven. Now, Maven is a tool that is typically used for building. Okay, so building means, once again, compilation and all those things. So there are basically 7 different steps through which Maven goes on. Okay, so there are 7 different stages of building that Maven takes into account whenever it wants to do some build job. So what are these 7 steps? Let's see. So I will show you from the official website itself of Maven, so that I don't miss out on anything or something like that. So come over here. Just go search for Maven lifecycle. So Maven also comes from the company Apache. Apache is a wonderful company. I mean, I was thinking one day, like think about it. Apache has developed Tomcat server, which is the application server for Java. There would not be any Java application running if there was no Tomcat. Okay. Apache has prepared the web server, Apache web server, HTTPD, that one. Apache is the one that has developed Maven. Apache is the one that has and all of these are free. Apache does not charge any money for any of its tools. So far, it has never done it. Apache is the one that has created the applications like Hadoop. You heard about big data Hadoop? Hadoop is made by Apache. There is a new one called Spark, which is used in big data, data science. That is made by Apache. I mean, these guys are making all the applications possible over there. I mean, all the applications. In fact, the people who write Java code, right? There are many Java libraries which are written by Apache. So I was just thinking about these guys. They are just
I'm a student.
so many things they have done.
The one class running over there, I think so.
Okay, this is not the correct link. It looks
Okay, I
like
think that's clear.
this is the wrong link. All right.
I don't. AWS class. AWS class.
A lot of time to open it up. Here we go. Here are the 7 steps of building. Okay, you have to completely remember these steps in complete order. If I forget, that is not a big deal, but you have to remember, because you are the people who have to go for the interviews. Remember these things. Validate, compile, test, package, verify, install, deploy. Okay, these are the 7 names that I want you to remember exactly in order. With the this section you have to be very good with what its steps do. I'll explain you. Okay, the first one is validate. In the validate section, it actually checks whether the project is consisting, whatever files the project should consist of, whatever settings should be there, all those things, the project information, you can see it is writing if the necessary information is available. Information in terms of the files, in terms of the configuration settings. Okay, that is the first thing it will check for, like whether you have mentioned how many files of code you are writing, whether you have mentioned that whatever like associated dependencies are there. Let's say I'm writing a Java code and I want to kind of let's say there are a lot of elements with me, I want to sort them in a particular way. Now I am not writing the code for sorting the elements. I am taking a help of a library that is written by someone else to sort all the elements. So I have to mention that library reference, that okay, I am going to use this library. This kind of things appear basically. So it will be trying to figure out whether all the settings that were supposed to be done in a particular, all the configurations that has been done or not. If the validate state passes, then it comes to compile state. So compile is the compilation basically. Okay. So it will be, kind of compiling the entire code, converting into binary. So compile is the binary. After that, you can see test. So this test is the unit test. Test the compiled source code using a suitable unit testing framework. Okay. So it will be taking the unit test. Okay. And you can see the test should not require the code to be packaged or deployed. Exactly what I was telling. Unit test is a code level testing. That is not a application level testing. You do not do the functionality testing over there. So it does not require this thing to be packaged or deployed, right? After that, you will find out it is talking about package. Here it is actually doing the packaging. Okay. So they're writing such as jar. Jar means what? Anybody knows what jar means? Full form of jar? I think I told this thing earlier also.
Java archive.
Java archive. So it can package it as a jar file if it is, let's say, a service-based program. It can package it as a WAR file if it is a little bit older model of web application, which is known as web archive, WAR, right? So typically we work with WARs only because WAR are the files that you deploy on Tomcat. Jar files you simply double click and run. Jar files are not web applications. WAR files are web applications, right? So when you are doing so many things, you definitely are working with web applications. Jar files is like a simple calculator and all those things, right? So forget about that. So these are WAR files. So jar it is writing, but it is we are actually going to look into WAR. It is writing jar because Maven will work with jar also. But in DevOps, there is no point in using jar. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So we'll be using WAR file. Then comes verify. What does verify do? Verify will be verifying that whether the tests and all those things that I had written and all the stuffs I had done so far, whatever has been done, all these things are meeting the quality criteria. So I did the validation, that was fine. So there is no issue in that. The compilation I did, the testing I did, the packaging I did, all these things that I have done, the three things I have done after verification. If all these three together is meeting the quality criteria. Quality criteria means what? So when we build an application using Maven, typically it asks us that do you want it to be like compatible with a particular version of server, like that. There are certain questions that you need to give an answer to. So whether that particular quality criteria is being met or not, let's say you are writing that I want this particular version to be, particular WAR file or whatever I'm generating, I want that to be compatible with Apache Tomcat version 7. So is your thing actually compatible with version 7, or are you making it, like it will run only till 6, it will not run in 7 or something like that? Maybe it will require Tomcat 9, not in 7. So this kind of things, so just giving you a little example. So this quality criteria is being met or not, right? So that will be automatically done. You don't need to do anything. You just need to run it. How to run it, that also I'll tell you. It will do automatically all the things. And then ultimately comes install and deploy. So this deploy we never use because we are not really looking for deployment through Maven. Deployment we always do through Dockers. Okay, we will be using Dockers to do deployment. So we don't use the deploy, but we use till install. In install, what it does, it installs the package into the local repository for using as a dependency in other projects locally. This is the intermediate deployment I was talking about. Okay. So in order to run our second job, which will be basically a test job, right? After we have done the build job, at the very beginning, I told you about this. So what we shall be doing, we shall be actually what? Configuring till the install so that it installs that over there to make sure that we can run our functional testing on top of it. Okay. So that is what we shall be doing with Maven. Now, Maven, okay, understand in this way that Maven actually does two things. Okay. One is this build lifecycle. And another one, this is not exactly related to the DevOps knowledge you need to know, but it is better to know about. If you're learning about Maven, just know this additional information also. Maven can also do dependency resolution. Right. So when I told you that I want to, let's say, do some kind of a sorting and I don't want to write the sorting code, I want to take it from some other library at that particular point of time. Do you understand the point that I actually need to have that library downloaded with me? If I don't have it with myself, How am I going to use it? I am putting the reference, but that's fine. But only putting the reference will not allow me to use it, right? I need to download and have the library with me. Otherwise, there is no way I'm going to use it. So this library that you want to download and have it with yourself. Now, typically what happens, developers will be, trying to find out libraries on the internet. Like they go to Google, okay, is this library available? That is available. Which one can I find where? Maven takes care of this part also. If you just put the reference, Maven is actually maintaining its own repository of libraries. So whenever, whichever company releases a library, it will be actually storing that library in its own repository also. The website is known as MVN repository. Search for this one, Maven repository. So it stores all the files. Let's say, for example, see AWS Java SDK for Amazon SQS. This is like for the AWS developers. They want to do something. Okay, AWS Java. So if someone is writing a Java code who wants to integrate AWS services in its codes, they can go and use that. So this library, see now this library was released by Amazon. See software Amazon.aws SDK. This was released by Amazon. This is coming from com.amazon AWS. Basically, it is written in reverse. It means amazonaws.com. Okay. So in this way, so it is just pulling things from here and there, and it is keeping with itself. So you just go in Maven and give the reference that I want this library. You don't need to worry about downloading and finding this library throughout the web. Maven will automatically download and give it to you. How does it help us? Number one is it is helping you in time. You don't need to find it out here and there. You don't need to worry about things. If you want to upgrade, you just in the reference you mention which version you want. It will automatically download the correct version. You don't even need to worry about finding, upgrading, and all those things. It will automatically do so. And another big benefit is that, let's say I am writing a code where I'm referring to 5, 6 different libraries. Now, if I have to take all those libraries, now probably the library code altogether, the 5, 6 different library code that will become, it itself will probably become somewhere around, let's say 100 MB, 200 MB, like that. So big. So if I want to upload those things also in GitHub, after downloading the library, package everything, I mean, with the code, that library also you're uploading to GitHub, because you know that ultimately this library is going to be required for my project. That takes a lot of space in GitHub. So don't do it. Just write a Maven reference file and post it along with your code on GitHub. So what will happen when we will be using the Maven integration plugin on Jenkins? Since Maven is being used over there, it will find out, oh, is it? You require these files. Okay, wait, I'll download it for you. So on our Jenkins server, after it has pulled it from the GitHub, it sees the reference file in the verify, validate those states, right? It sees it, and what it does, it immediately downloads all the files from the Maven repository. So it saves you a lot of space and a lot of time, both. Right? Just think about it. If the code that you are pulling from GitHub, that was 200 MB bigger. So right now, let's say that your code will be very small. Code will be typically somewhere around, let's say, 30 MB, 40 MB, something like that. The code, I mean, after packaging, the file might be very big, but the code will be that much only. Sometimes it is in 2 MB, 3 MB also. Now, along with that, you are sending a 200 MB library. It does not make sense. Why are you sending the library? Because Maven can read references and it can do a dependency resolution, means it can resolve all the depending libraries. So just take that, send the reference file. Maven is already installed on our Jenkins, so we shall configure Maven. So there it will automatically download what you had done in your local, downloaded everything. The same thing will be automated by Maven. Okay. So these are the two things Maven will do. And for the very first time it will download. I mean, second time it has already, I mean, last time it already downloaded, right? Second time you're running the build, it will no longer download it because it is already downloaded the first time. So it will use the same. So all the libraries will be resolved during the compilation time. Did you understand this point clearly, everybody? Or is there a doubt? Yes? Guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Reply ಮಾಡಿ bro. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, too many doubts.
Too many doubts. Tell me.
About this repository, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, this repository thing.
Which repository thing?
This
Entire.
MEN repository.
Okay. What is the doubt? Tell me. Tell that out.
Like
Guys,
it's
tell me.
like its functionality, how it is actually.
This repository is maintained and only the right permission is with Maven authority. Nobody writes in this repository. Whenever someone releases a new library, this Maven guys will go there, manually download them and put them in the repository so that you can use it. That's it. Okay. This is
So
not
is
a
it
this is
like
not a version.
AWS Workplace?
No, nothing. It is just, let's say, a Google Drive folder where you have kept all your photos. You are just asking people to use the photos like that.
It's not.
What is happening, Malika? Who are you talking to? Hello. Yes, guys.
Yeah.
What is happening? Okay, what I'm trying to say is that this repository means this is just like, let's say, Google Drive folder where you have uploaded all your photos and you have made it public. You asked everybody that whoever needs the photos, they can come and take the photos from here. That's it. So similar kind of a thing. Repository means what? Repository means a place where you can keep things. Never think that repository means it is a version control system. Not all repository is GitHub. Okay. So it is a place where Maven, what it does, the Maven engineers, there is a team that sits over there, and whenever a new package is, released by somebody, a new library is released by some company, that is, let's say, a Java library or something, they will go over there, they will copy the library files, and they'll paste it here also. So all the files here, you can find it one single place. So when you write a Maven application, it will be automatically pulling the files from there. Clear? Make sense?
It's a kind of storage.
It's a storage. It's just a website where they have stored all the files. You can just pull it from there, use it from there. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, if you need any modification in the existing item, so can we pull and we can make a modification?
Yeah, you can pull, you can make modification, but you cannot push it back because you are not authorized to put things in this repository. You can just get it from there. It is like, let's say, okay, you go to TechStory's website, you download all the syllabuses. That's it. You want to have some modification, can you put it back in the website? No, right? But you can download all the syllabuses.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Okay.
So now you, let's say, for example, you need to tell somebody that, hey, see, there is a things TechStory's course is offering us. So why do you send the PDF to them? Just send them the link of the that particular page, so they can go and they can download it by themselves. So similarly, so you're not sending all the libraries to Jenkins. You're asking Jenkins, well, here is my reference file. Go and download everything from. So using Maven, it is doing it. Clear?
Okay.
Yeah. Mithun, is it clear?
Yeah.
All right, great.
So if in short, if any package is required by Jenkins, it will get installed via Maven, right?
If any package is required by the code that you have written,
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
and that code is written in the Maven format, so you're using a Maven build for that. You have written your reference file in your configuration file in a particular way, and you have mentioned it over there. When Jenkins is running the build, because the build is being triggered by Maven will first see that file and download all the files that it requires, and it has been mentioned. So the developer has to mention the library names that he requires to download. Clear?
Okay.
That file that Maven actually looks for, the configuration file, is known as pom.xml.
Okay.
POM stands for, anybody?
I think object mod P. I don't know. Object module. I know that. P. I forgot.
Project object model.
Okay.
So this is what a pom.xml sample looks like. So you'll find out their dependency. It is telling that it needs JUnit. This is for unit testing. They need Hibernate. Lot of Hibernates. They need Java SQL. So they want to do some database kind of thing. They need Java transaction. Okay. They need MySQL database. right? They only need SL4J. This is a logging application thing. So these are the dependencies, the dependency. And how are they finding out how to write it down? It is very easy. Let's say, for example, they are using JUnit 3.8.1, right? I'll search for it. See, come over here. Go for JUnit. Once you find out JUnit, go to JUnit 3.8.1. So that is a very older, I guess. So you can see 6,234 downloads. It was uploaded on May 2007, very old. So if you open it up, so exactly this is that what they have written. See, dependency, group ID or artifact ID, version 3.8.1, scope test. Look at it side by side. Dependency, group ID, artifact ID, version, scope test, right? So it is just you search what you need, you copy this and paste in your configuration file. That's it, done. So now when you run it, it will automatically download. Clear?
Okay.
We
Yeah,
just
yeah,
need to
clear
copy it
now.
and paste it over there. We will not write it. Our developers will write it. So this makes sure that you get the same file throughout the thing. That is also coming into picture, right? Because they have also used the same version, so they're mentioning in the configuration. So when Jenkins is trying to run it, it is also using the same version. So you end up becoming a little bit less chance of failures. Basically, you're trying to minimize your errors as much as you can. That is what DevOps do. Why DevOps came into here? Because they wanted to solve the issues of different issues, environmental difference, this difference, that difference. If difference is there, issue is there. Just make it united. That is the idea, right? So make it unified. That is the idea, right? So more or less we are okay with the stuffs, right? So far, anybody any doubt? Yeah, no doubt. Okay, fine. So this Maven integration we shall see tomorrow. And the other thing is Selenium. I'll give you a little brief on Selenium. Selenium is basically anybody knows what Selenium is? Apart from saying that it is just a test tool, something more? Yeah? Nobody? Okay. So basically what happens is that Selenium is basically a testing tool. What it does, it will be trying to test your application after deployment. Okay, once you deploy your application, it will run the application, run the test. Like let's say, as I was giving you an example, you want to go for compose mail, so it will actually open up the thing. It will go to the compose mail, it will open up this one, that and this and that. It'll keep on doing like a lot of things it will do. So that's what Selenium does. Selenium opens up something and it plays with it completely, whatever test case has been written. So test cases will be, let's say the test cases also can stay in GitHub, not an issue. So you do Git integration in a, so this is, let's say, one job, for example. So for example, this is our leave. So let's say this is one job, that is our build job, and we create another test job. Okay, this SML simply means small, medium and large. If you click on small, it will become small. This one, nothing else. Okay, so let's say you have another job over here and you have kind of integrated them together one with the other. So now what is happening, this guy is the build job, this is the test. So the build job is actually pulling from the GitHub wherever the application code is there, and the testing job can also pull from GitHub wherever the test code is there. So you can ask your testers to push their code on GitHub also. You can ask your developers also to push their code on GitHub. So both you are pulling and you are ultimately kind of doing the same, right? And at the end, we will be requiring one particular plugin that I will talk about. That is for once you have done all your building, testing, every single thing is done, you are perfectly happy with the result. The packaging file, the packaged file that has got generated, you can send it over to our Docker servers. So for that, we need to learn. I mean, before learning Docker, also you can do it. But anyway, typically we need to learn Docker and we need to understand this point. How are you going to hand it over to the Docker server? So Selenium integration also we shall see. So tomorrow our first thing will be first trying to go for the Maven integration with this, as well as the Selenium plugin I will show you, right? So once we do that, we will be trying to see the GitHub integration, pull from GitHub, and ultimately, so tomorrow's target is going to be continuous integration. We'll try to see the CI tomorrow. Okay. So, the email automation is there. The email automation, the email sending also, I will show you, right? So that also can be done. I'm not sure if tomorrow only we'll be able to finish up Jenkins, but I think it will be, because if you have understood so far, then tomorrow we can go pretty fast, because will be whatever we talked about today, all these things are going to be used tomorrow.
right? So I'll suggest you remember these things. Do not forget whatever you're talking about today. Otherwise, tomorrow when you see, you might once end up, getting some doubts which were practically already talked about in this session, right? So even if you get some doubts, that's fine. You can ask me at any point of time. That's not an issue. But just keep in mind. So to today's lesson, whatever we talked about, try to remember these things at least till tomorrow, so that after that you may forget. But till tomorrow, remember this so that you can understand what is happening. Tomorrow is Saturday, Friday, right? So tomorrow you have class, yeah. So tomorrow we'll be doing that. Fine, cool. I am stopping it over here because if I continue doing it, then again it is a very big thing. After that it will come. I want you to first, whatever I've given, consume this and then move forward. So your job is going to be to actually open up Jenkins, right? Take out time and write a dummy job. I mean, you can give any name, whatever name you want, and write something over there and build it, right? So this much I want you to do. I don't want you to go into manage Jenkins and do things as of now. Don't do it, even though later you will be required to do all those things. As of now, open up Jenkins and do something and come out. So reach till here where you see the successful build, that S means success status. So the blue is success. When you see a successful build or even see a failure build, that is also fine, but at least reach till this point. That's what I mean to say, right? So are we all cool? Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
just go ahead and try it out, will you?
Yeah, we will try it.
Yeah, just try it out. It'll take you 5 minutes. I mean, 5-10 minutes it will take. How much time will it take? Because I was talking so much, explaining so many things, it took me 2 hours or 1.5 hours, whatever. But if you try to do it, this thing, it's just do and finish it off, right? Because tomorrow when I shall do till this point, it will take me at most 5 to 10 minutes. That's it, not more than that. So just go ahead and give it a try. In case you are stuck, nothing to worry, because tomorrow I'll terminate this machine. So therefore, tomorrow again I have to do from the beginning installation and coming to this point, which will take hardly 5 minutes, as I'm telling you. So you can again see me doing the same thing. Okay, I'll close it off over here. Any
Okay.
doubts? Last.
No.
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 Okay. Bhagavan, clear everything? Moina,
Yes,
Naveen,
yes, yes,
Krishna,
yes.
Mithun.
Yeah.
Close it over here. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Vijay.